Hi, welcome to your Superman news video for the week April 3rd to April 9th, 2015. Our top news stories this week included composers Hans Zimmer and Tom Holkenborg, aka Junkie XL, watched Batman v Superman this week. Jesse Eisenberg spoke about shaving his head to play Lex Luthor. And Dan Jurgens talks about Convergence Superman #1. Let's check out these stories and more in this week's Speeding Bulletin. In movie news, while it has been widely reported that the first trailer for Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice will debut ahead of the new Mad Max Fury Road movie, confirmation came from composer Tom Holkenborg, aka Junkie XL, who revealed via Twitter that he and Hans Zimmer have been hard at work composing music for the trailer this week. He also revealed that later in the week he and Hans were sitting down to watch the movie in full in preparation for them to score the film. Appearing on the Late Night with Seth Meyers show this week, Jesse Eisenberg spoke briefly about playing Lex Luthor in Batman v Superman, including having to shave his head for the role.
Yeah, I mean, I came out of the womb with a full head of hair.
Right.
No.
You did?
Yes. I've never been able to touch my scalp. Yes, it's freezing. Okay. Yeah, and it's really strange. You know, it's the kind of thing where you feel like I can really damage myself. You want to wear a helmet. You know, you feel like.
Yeah, I would say you're very exposed. Yeah.
Have you ever shaved your head?
I've never shaved my head.
Yeah,
No.
it's terrifying. It's terrifying. Yeah.
Warner Brothers released a trailer for their next animated offering, Justice League Gods and Monsters. This animated movie, which will also spawn a 3-part animated series, is a collaboration between Warner Brothers Animation, DC Entertainment and Machinima, which puts a dark spin on Superman, Batman and Wonder Woman. Justice League Gods and Monsters is an original animated film, executive produced by Bruce Timm and co-produced by Alan Burnett, that will be released by Warner Brothers Home Entertainment later this year. CapeWonder.com hosted a super reunion of Superman celebrities who starred in Superman the Movie and Superman 2 The Richard Donner Cut at this weekend's WonderCon in Anaheim. Moderated by Jim Bowers, founder of CapeWonder.com, and Jay Towers, morning news anchor from Fox 2 News Detroit, the room was filled to capacity to see a star-studded group that included Margot Kidder, Valerie Perrine, Diane Sherry, Mark McClure, Jack O'Halloran, Aaron Smolinski and Ilya Saukind. Fans attending the 2015 Niagara Falls Comic-Con this June will have an opportunity to get their photo taken with Margot Kidder at the same spot she and Christopher Reeve filmed scenes for Superman 2. The special photo opportunity will take place at 11 a.m. on Friday, June 5th, outside Table Rock Centre. Only those with pre-purchased tickets will be allowed within the area of the photo opportunity. Tickets are limited to only 50 and are available by visiting the Niagara Falls Comic-Con website at nfcomiccon.com. John Schnepp, the filmmaker who launched a Kickstarter fundraising campaign to make a full-length documentary about the proposed 1998 Superman Lives movie, will premiere his documentary in the UK in May. The premiere will take place with a Q&A panel at the BFI in London on May 30th, starting at 6:15 p.m. The Superman homepage will have a reporter at the event, so we'll bring you all the info from the night. We don't have any TV news this week, so we jump straight into comic book news. And across April and May, DC Comics are putting their normal publishing schedule on hold for the Convergence event, which will resurrect characters and stories from previous continuities. In Convergence Superman #1, out now, Dan Jurgens tells a story about powerless Superman and his wife Lois Lane fighting the good fight in Gotham City. Superman and the Dark Knight have had a long relationship, but it becomes inverted when it's Thomas and Clark instead of Bruce and Clark. Jurgens told USA Today, "What happens when all of that is tied around the idea of Lois having a baby when you have a Batman who's a vigilante because he lost his son?" Comic books we reviewed this week included Superman Wonder Woman #17, which was reviewed by Michael Bailey, who said, despite feeling rushed, the finale to Peter Tomasi's first arc on this title was satisfying, and he rated this a 4 out of 5. Alyssa Gossage reviewed Batman Superman Annual #2, giving it a 5 out of 5, saying it was awesome to see Clark play the hero. And Convergence #0 was reviewed by Jeremiah Bohr, who said, I was disappointed by the false start that was issue #0, and he rated it a 3 out of 5. Superman comics available this week from April 8th include Convergence #1, which is available in a variant Tony S. Daniel cover, a variant blank cover, a Brian Bolland variant cover, and a Greg Capullo Batman sketch variant cover. Convergence Justice League #1, which is available in a variant cover, Convergence Superman #1, which is also available in a variant cover, and Superman Man of Steel statue by Sean Cheeks Galloway. Make mealtime a fun experience for the Superman fan in your family. Chow down with Superman. Grab the Superman ceramic cereal bowl for $19.95. Or how about a Superman costume ceramic bowl for just $15.92? These and other great Superman bowls are available from your one-stop Superman shop, the Superman homepage online store at supermanhomepage.com/shop. And in other news, Turbine and Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment announced a new playable character for the Infinite Crisis free-to-play multiplayer online battle arena game, and that's Lex Luthor. A brilliant and cunning blaster, Lex Luthor is coming to dominate Infinite Crisis on April 29th. Sign up and start playing for free today at infinitecrisis.com. Sideshow Collectibles has announced the release of their Dark Side Premium Format quarter-scale figure. Towering over 2 feet tall, the imposing ruler of the planet Apocalypse lords over its war-torn and fiery terrain with an iron fist. Priced at $599.99, the Dark Side Premium Format figure is now available from Sideshow Toys and is expected to ship in May. That's all the news there was for the week April 3rd to April 9th, 2015. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Steve Younis from supermanhomepage.com.
Great Scott! Great Scott! Great Scott!
Hello everyone, and welcome to an egomaniacal, villainous, dastardly episode of Great Scott. I'm Scotty V, and thanks for watching. So, we recently had a huge revelation. We've received a giant picture of Jesse Eisenberg. In case you didn't know what he looked like, there he is. A lot of people weren't particularly excited because even though this was announced by Entertainment Weekly to be our first look at Lex Luthor in the upcoming Batman v Superman, it's really just a picture of Jesse Eisenberg, right? I mean, there's nothing other than the fact that he's bald that says that's our first look at Luthor from the movie. This could be a picture of him on set in his little fold-out chair that has your name on the back and a star. This could be a picture of him at his dentist office. This could be a picture of him anywhere. I mean, he clearly is posing in kind of a melancholy, if not an evil way. So he might be in character, but I don't really think it's from the movie, and people are saying this is really just a picture of Jesse Eisenberg bald. But good news is we now know that for certain he's going to be bald. There was a lot of speculation that he was covering his head with some sort of scarf. They didn't want people to see what his hair would look like, and people even said it looks like he has red hair spilling out from underneath, or curly hair spilling out from underneath, or he's going to look like his Zombieland self underneath. But they were trying to hide his head, which is strange, because you would think if they're hiding his head, that means there must be something special going on underneath. So then why would there need to be anybody upset about the fact that they think maybe Jesse Eisenberg won't be bald as Lex Luthor, which wouldn't be unprecedented. John Shea, who's one of my favorite interpretations of Lex Luthor, at least in the early year of Lois and Clark, he was only on the first season, then he was gone for the second season, then I think he came back for a couple of episodes in both the third and the fourth season, and they kind of went a little nuts. And that show was very cheesy and campy, which oftentimes, if you watch this show at all, you'll know that I kind of frown upon cheesy and campy. Lois and Clark used to be, and still is for some reasons, one of my favorite interpretations of Superman. I thought that the casting was fantastic, and this includes John Shea as Lex Luthor. It was also the first interpretation on screen that we had of Lex as businessman, savvy, charismatic, leader-type, person who could get things done, ruthless, but not goofy, comical like Gene Hackman. And so I was very partial to that interpretation. Then we got Michael Rosenbaum on Smallville, who was very serious as well. Now, a lot of the writing issues, if you watch this show again, you've heard me talk about Smallville in a mostly negative way. But it also had a lot of good things going for it, and one of those things was Michael Rosenbaum. And people have mentioned that this picture looks a little like Michael Rosenbaum from Smallville. I don't think Jesse particularly looks like Michael Rosenbaum, but Michael Rosenbaum played Lex Luthor. He's a skinny guy. He's a younger guy than who we're normally used to see playing Lex Luthor. And he looks younger. And if he's not younger, I think Jesse's actually in his 30s, so he's not super young. He's not old, but he's not super young, but he looks young. And he's very, very skinny. And one of people's complaints when Jesse was cast, mine as well, was that he normally plays these goofy, kind of quirky, teenaged or very young characters. I didn't see the Facebook movie, but I know that he played a similar character to what a lot of people like to see in Lex, a ruthless kind of conniving type character, and he wasn't necessarily his normal goofy comedic self. So I'm not completely against his casting, and I don't necessarily think he can't pull it off. There is a concern that he's a little too goofy, he's a little too comedic, he's a little too shyish type of like weird mannerism, quirky type of guy. Lex Luthor can certainly have quirks, and sometimes they play those up, and that's a way, you know, when they have a villain, they give him these things that make him strange or whatever. But generally, and my favorite type of Lex is the early John Shea type of Lex, who's very confident, who's very cocky, who's very arrogant, but also very capable and also charming at times. I don't know if Jesse can pull that off. I don't know that I've never personally seen him charming or really sure of himself or charismatic. I mean, he has been up for awards. He was in that Facebook movie, so he's clearly a good actor. I just, I'm interested to see how it's going to go. This picture does assuage some fears, as I said, that he is going to be bald. You know, in the John Shea interpretation, they gave him hair. He was supposed to be kind of sexy. Lois was into him. He had this relationship with her. There was a romance going on. It was a love triangle. And then there was the Superman love triangle. There was a love triangle between Clark and Lois and Lex. And Clark wanted to be with Lois, but she was into Lex because he had power. And then she eventually got into Superman. And there's the argument there that is Lois really only into people who have power? So that's another thing I love about Lois and Clark. I love the fact that they went the whole, she was really into guys who have this power and strength, but she ends up, I mean, Clark has his own version of power and strength, right? He's a good guy. He does the right thing. He just doesn't have superpowers, at least that we know of, until he reveals it. So I like that path. That doesn't have much to do with Lex in this version, I assume, and in most versions. I don't really want there to be a romantic link between Lois and Lex. That's never been my favorite thing. It's not unprecedented. They've done it in the comics as well. They've done it in early times. It's been done in different versions, cartoons, that types of thing. But I don't love it, so I'd rather there be no connection, and I'd rather he not know her at all, except maybe as a journalist who gets on his nerves and kind of pokes into his business and that sort of thing. I can certainly see a Michael Rosenbaum-ish type look in this picture because he has that young look and he's thin. He's not particularly imposing as a Lex Luthor that I'd like to see. I love the Lex from the Superman animated series. I love that he's imposing, but he's also charismatic. He can speak really well. He can get people to do things, even people who don't know that he's going to kill them if they don't listen. He seems to be able to get things done. He's a good motivator in that way, and he's very smart, and he's scientific, and he can create things and do things. So he's got a lot of facets to his personality. I just really don't want to see any more Kevin Spacey, Gene Hackman-ish. It was a little better with Kevin Spacey, but he was still the goofy slapstick version of Lex that we had in the original Donner film and then the Lester film after that. I like a serious Lex. I like to see someone who's dangerous, someone who is a good foil for a Superman, and even a Batman, especially in this case, where we know Batman's going to be involved in some way and where we all sort of assume that Superman and Batman are going to come together at the end of the film in order to face common threat, Lex Luthor, and whatever else the threat is. So we need someone who can face off against both these guys. And as I've said before, I've never thought of Superman as adult. He has intelligence. He may not be a scientist, he may not have taken his mind in that direction to where he's a genius like Bruce Wayne and Lex Luthor are supposed to be. But I think he's witty. I think he can figure things out. I think that he can, and has shown in comics and in other stories, that he can beat some of his villains with his mind, and it's not always about brawling. But we need a guy who is savvy. We need a guy who is smart. We need a businessman Lex. I don't know that we're going to get all of those things or even some of those things. You know, we've heard the rumors about tattoos up his arms and that he was a street kid and that he made himself. Lex should make himself to a certain extent. I never loved the idea of a Lex, like the Rosenbaum Lex on Smallville, who just kind of walked into his money and then ended up stealing it from Lionel. I like a guy who builds himself up. You know, on Lois and Clark, they talked about him wrong side of the tracks, had a bad family life, lived in a bad area, but still made himself a millionaire. And that the whole idea that Lex is this guy who is for humanity and is so angry with Superman because he's making us weaker just by being there, because we should be able to dig ourselves out of our own problems. That's what I like about Lex. And he's still a bad guy, and he's still the foil to Superman, and he still goes about it the wrong way. But his whole thing is, we don't need you. Because he's arrogant. You know, I don't need you. And by I, he's talking about everyone, humanity. We don't need you. We want you to go away. We want to do our own thing. I want to do my own thing. I want to rule. And you have the power, and you fly above us, and you are the rule, and people look to you. I want people to look to me. I want humanity to look to itself. And by by itself, he means himself, and that he should be empowered, and they should be empowered, and he should be able to have what Superman has, not even with having power, but just by using his mind and by being with the people in the way he wants to be, you know, his crooked, lopsided view of that. So it's exciting, again, seeing a picture finally. We know he's going to be bald. He looks dark, but not necessarily evil in this picture, just kind of melancholy and not particularly a happy figure, serious, which is good. You know, Gene Hackman press photo might be, you know, the goofy Gene Hackman smile, and you love it for what it is, and it was comedic and it was funny. I'm hoping for more than that. I'm hoping for serious, and I'm hoping for multiple layers and characterization and good stuff. Thanks everybody for watching, and remember, always look up in the sky.